Hi there, everyone. Meteorologist Robert Spetta here with you on today, the 4th of January, 2014. And today, well, not too much going on across the Western Pacific as far as tropical activity on today, the 4th of January. But the most of this update, we're going to be doing a little bit of time traveling to about a week and a half in the future. The main reason is there is the possibility of a new developing storm system. Unfortunately, a lot of confusion surrounding this new storm system, and I'm going to be trying to set some of it straight because there is something developing here towards the south of Guam. It is not, and I repeat, is not going to be forming to an epic magnitude of a Super Typhoon at the equivalent or possibly even stronger than Super Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan. I understand what this person was trying to do. They were trying to put the warning out there, but very long range, and that is likely not going to be happening mid-January. And really, at this time of year, you have a very strong northeast monsoon that's going to provide a lot of vertical wind shear, something storms don't like, and a lot of drier inflow, something storms don't like. With all that said, it's not going to be, we're not going to be seeing a Yolanda Part 2. That is for sure. Once again, there is a storm developing, so that is also adding to the results of all this confusion, because a lot of media agencies are coming out right now saying that it is a hoax. There's no storm developing. That is not true at all. And the reality is that a new storm likely is going to be clipping the eastern seaboards of the Philippines, bringing some rain showers and the very serious risk of flooding by going into the mid part of next week. And we're talking about from the 10th all the way out to about the 15th. There could be a storm right near the coastal areas here. Once again, due to that drier inflow, it's going to wrap around. It should keep it weaker. There is warm sea surface temperatures down there, but likely going to see this move off there towards the west and then recurve just east of the country. And before we take a look at some of the long range models, let's take a look at the overall background flow. Typical for this time of year, so not too much going to be changing in the next 2 weeks. We have high pressure over here towards the east. That's over Guam. It's there this time of year. It's a semi-permanent Westpac high. A new tropical system forming down here towards the south is going to run along the southern periphery of that, basically like water flowing down a hill off there towards the north and eventually turning there towards the north and racing off towards the northeast. If this high was to build a little bit farther towards the west, we could see a storm system make landfall in the Philippines. So once again, this is adding to the confusion that there is not going to be a Yolanda Part 2, but there is the risk of a named tropical system possibly coming on shore here, bringing some rainfall and the risk of flooding. It's going to be very strong. Now, let's go towards the models and talk about intensity. Because once again, given the environment, you're not going to be seeing a very strong developing storm system, but it could be powerful enough to bring some heavy rainfall and some coastal flooding. This is going to be very disastrous for people who have been recently affected by Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda right along the coastal areas if it does clip this region. And I'm using the if a lot because I don't like the forecast this far out, but due to the recent confusion, trying to quell some of these rumors. This is on the 9th going into the 10th of January. Remember these dates when I tell you here. The screen just off screen is where we show it. And you can start to see it lift off there towards the north, running along the western periphery of the Westpac High. And then as it gets closer towards the Philippines, see these strong winds coming in from the north. That is that drier inflow, that strong vertical wind shear. And we can pull up the wind shear as well here. And you can see off here towards the north. Look at that starting to dive in. This is tropical systems do not like this, those areas in the orange. Let's pull up the relative humidity at the same time here, and we can also see where that dry air is going to start to wrap in. This is not something storms like. So we do have the moisture along the eastern periphery. If this does come up here, it's definitely going to be wrapping in that dry air from the northeast monsoon, and that's going to cause some weakening. So there is the possibility of it becoming a very weak low-end typhoon, more so a tropical storm, but the western flank of this is going to be having all sorts of dry air wrapping in around it. That is something you would expect for a January storm system. We've seen that in the past, and it's not anything too uncommon to have all that come in. Now we can see ahead here going into the 14th of January. Only got a little purple wrapping around this, and that purple right there only indicates about 50 to 60 knot winds. Actually, winds relatively light over the Philippines at this time. This is the most aggressive model, mind you. Let's show the ECMWF at the same time here, and we have to look at more than one model. You can't just show one, and that shows ours low-level circulation, almost nothing, and clear down there towards the south. Basically, just interacting with the northeast monsoon, bringing some gustier winds off there towards the north, and some coastal rain showers. Show the MSL at the same time. So big difference in the models there, but still looking at the heavy rain there across eastern portions of Visayas and also Mindanao, which you do not want. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. Now let's take a look at the nav gem. You can see the date down here in the bottom left. Go ahead to the 8th to the 9th, maybe out towards the 10th, the 11th, and we're at the 11th here with a storm system just towards the east of the Philippines. But the key thing to note, see this, look at that right there, that area in the green extending down there towards the southwest, and then you have high pressure off here towards the north. That is all going to be kind of pulling this towards the northeast, that high pressure coming in, and that's going to basically follow the same path we just saw with the GFS running off there towards the north and then turning northeast. Now this is a very close call, and it's a little bit too close for comfort, and that's why actually for about 4 or 5 days now here at WesternPacificWeather.com we have been covering this area in the long range model, saying we're going to keep a very close eye on it. At this time, I definitely think a named storm system is possible, and there is the risk of flooding, and coastal flooding is definitely going to be a hazard, and definitely people who are currently without shelter or in temporary shelter may have some problems with this storm system. That is a very serious threat. I would not recommend packing up and running at this time, though. Definitely want to stay tuned to your local warnings there at Pagasa. Wait for them to put something out. Know they're being much more proactive after Haiyan, and definitely, if this was to come to pass, those evacuation shelters will be put in place. But a significant storm surge like we saw with Haiyan is not going to be happening. This is going to be one of your run-of-the-mill storms and likely a low-end typhoon. Actually, you see 984 HPA right there. That would be the equivalent of about a tropical storm, maybe low-end severe tropical storm, according to this model. All right, so in short, here's the deal. A long-range forecast is just that, a long-range forecast, a very high risk of change, but I think at this time, given the model consensus, we can say a new tropical system is very well going to be developing, and it could be a named tropical storm just towards the east of the Philippines, bringing some rainfall and possibly some damaging winds to the immediate coastline. So you do want to keep an eye on this. At this time, though, we're talking about a week and a half out, so a lot could change once again. And yeah, stay tuned with us here at WestPacWeather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, I know I said a lot here, so I'm sure a lot of you do. Feel free to post them down here in the comment box below. If I can't answer them directly, we have a whole team here at Westpac Weather that hopefully can help you out. So stay safe out there, everybody, and thanks for watching.